My name's Andrew Morsy. I'm 30 years old, professional whitewater kayaker. Um, and yeah, my season ended. I'm a wildland firefighter, so it started raining back home. And when that happens, the fires go out, and it's time to go spend my time with the dog and kayaking through the winter. And I actually was driving cross country with my mom. My mom is from Traverse City area, and when I told her I was driving to South Carolina, we started in Oregon. So we're going Oregon all the way to the southeast. And my mom was like, "Well, I'll hop in the bus with you, and we'll go visit Grandma." So yeah, Mom and I were driving through the UP, and I'd have been up to Tahquamenon Falls a handful of times in the past. And when I saw that the weather was going to be right and the water level was good, we just had to make that little detour.
So that's far from your first waterfall, it sounds like.
Right. I've been doing this professionally for about 15 years now. Um, Kind of been all over the world with it. Kayaking has taken me to a lot of really amazing places and shown me a community of people that I never could have expected. A lot of people, when they think of kayaking, they're thinking out on a lake on a sit on top kayak, enjoying a nice summer afternoon. And for me, maybe that's not always the case.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess in my experience, it seems like something people fall more into than, plan ahead for themselves. Is that how it worked out for you? Or, how did you end up in whitewater kayaking?
Well, I grew up mountain biking and skiing, and the town that I grew up in, Hood River, Oregon, is pretty well known for its adventure sports. So naturally, I just wanted to try all that there was, and I found with kayaking, it kind of removes you from the general public a bit more than a lot of these other sports would, and it puts you in places where the only way you could get there would be in a kayak, and I think that that's really what draws me to it is the remote factor and just uh, just being kind of locked into the river and into the canyons. So first of all, when you get to a waterfall that you've never run before, you'd ideally go and look at it at very low water to make sure that there's not rocks in the landing or a cave behind the falls. Um, which oddly enough, this waterfall has both of those factors, which kind of steps up the interest level for me. But yeah, for me, it's just make sure all of my equipment is up to par. Make sure I've got someone down below with safety equipment, that being a rope and a spare boat for recovery. Um, and then just kind of make sure that I've got my head in the right spot and know that I trust my body and I trust my skill set. I did a couple practice rolls at the top before going over. I just made sure my body was tuned in. I had just driven 2,000 miles or so in a school bus. So I was feeling a little sore. And yeah, it took a second. I did some stretching. And then once I felt good, I just decided it was my time.
That gets into one of these questions here. Mark Berg wanted to ask you, did you employ a certain strategy to be able to hold on to the paddle?
I've got a pretty dang good grip strength on that thing. And oddly enough, the your hands and your paddle don't necessarily take that much impact. Of course, there's always the chance that you lose your paddle, and I can roll my kayak without my paddle. So if I were to have broken my paddle or let go of it, I can still right myself back up. But yeah, oddly enough, the paddle thing isn't a big. Sorry about the highway noise here.
Oh, I
The
can't hear it coming across. You're good.
nice. Yeah, the paddle one isn't a big concern for me. I have broken paddles and I have lost paddles before, but in the circumstance for Tahquamenon, there's no rapids to worry about afterwards. It's just a big pool at the bottom. So even if I were to have lost my paddle or come out of my boat, there's really nothing to worry about.
Okay. And then Jennifer Kevin Cameron asks, roughly how far did you go under the water? And it does it feel like there's much of an impact?
So I went over the falls twice that day, and the first descent, I penetrated the water at about a 45-degree angle. So you can envision going off the waterfall, you're flat, and then you start cresting into vertical. I landed about like that, which just shot me straight out. I didn't really even submerge my head at all. So I think maybe my boat went underwater, but my flotation device didn't activate at all. My face didn't even really get wet.
It looks like you pop up pretty quick, but at the same time, like with all the aeration, I just would have figured you'd sunk down a little more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so on some waterfalls, the goal is to go as deep as possible and to land at a perfect 90 degree. But for that waterfall, the boil at the bottom, the surface tension wasn't that great. And there wasn't enough boils essentially for me to fully submerge. So even if I were to land at a perfect 90 degree, I still think that I wouldn't have gone very deep. Even off of bigger waterfalls up to 100 feet, you might only go 10 or 15 feet underwater.
What's that begs the question, what's the biggest waterfall you've gone over?
About 120 feet would be the largest one I've gone over. I've got a handful in um, that realm. A few were in Oregon, and then a couple were in South America.
Is that crazy? That sounds crazy just as a layman. Like that sounds
Yeah,
like a wild hike.
there is some calculated risk involved there, and maybe there's some uncalculated risk. A lot of it is um, trusting your equipment, trusting your skill, knowing that your body is in the right shape for taking these impacts. But then it's also, you don't just go straight to 100 feet. You start in a swimming pool, you get all of your fundamentals down, and then you work your way up through little rapids into, 10, 15, 20, 30. It gets exponentially um, more calculated each time you step up. Every 10 feet you really have to think about, all right, am I going to be able to hold on to my gear? Am I going to take a big impact? Is there a chance for me to get knocked out? Things like that are um, always considered.
And then I just scrolled past it. I forgot who said it, but somebody asked, "Do you work for Red Bull?" Like, yeah, I guess another way to ask that is, how far like in the pro realm are you? Like,
So
could you?
I've got full ride sponsorship through Liquid Logic Kayaks. They give me the boats that I use. Warner Paddles sponsors me for the paddles that I use, and then Hiko Water Sports uh, does all my dry gear and safety equipment. So with those three sponsors, I've basically got all of my gear covered. And then in the grand scheme of things, even the best Red Bull athlete kayakers, they're not making very much money doing it. It's the sport's really just for the love. I'm never gonna get rich doing this. It's just for the friends.
Oh. And then yeah, I guess what's the next fall for you? Is there like a Mount Everest of whitewater kayaking in your mind?
There are a lot of these highly sought after rivers all over the world, and it, in all reality, I think I've kind of plateaued. I don't see myself progressing a whole lot more, but I do love the adventure aspect of it. And the things that I search for are first descents, like a waterfall that no one's seen before, a river that no one's kayaked down, and to be able to go into that canyon and break it down piece by piece and work your way through each rapid like a puzzle. That's how I test myself, and that's how I keep trying to progress in the sense of I don't want to get better. I don't know if I could get much better, but I would like to explore more.
Oh. And then yeah, I guess just to put a pin in the safety aspect for anybody who sees the video of you doing that and was like, wow, I want to do that too. What are the essential things they need to have, accomplish, be prepared with, to do things like that?
So, my qualifications, I am a international raft guide and safety kayak instructor. So I put on courses that teach people how to be safe on the water, how to work with ropes, how to do pulley systems, how to do boat and body recoveries. And then, you for a beginner, you would want to take some safety courses. You take a swift water rescue course, that'll cover all of the if ands or what might happen in a an unfortunate scenario. And then you would go to your local kayak club or maybe your community center. A lot of pools put on kayak roll sessions, and that would be the best way to get into it. Is go slow, find a good community of people to surround yourself with. You're only as good as the people you paddle with. So surround yourself with like-minded people who are safety oriented, that are detail oriented, that are watching your back, that are making sure all of the safety precautions are set up in place to make sure that things will go well if they start to go wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I think that wraps up about the questions I had. There was the you mentioned there was somebody out there taking photos or video of you too.
Yeah, Jake Ring, I'll send you his email and his Instagram. Um and he's a good buddy of mine. Every time I've gone through the Upper Peninsula, he makes a good effort to come and meet up. He's actually, I think, has now 1,000 waterfalls that he's recorded in the Upper Peninsula. So he is what I would call a waterfall hunter. He goes and hikes up unknown creeks. He's into it for exploring, and he's kind of one of my buddies that I keep in my back pocket. And when I'm like, "Oh man, you have anything that you found recently that you think I might be able to go off of?" And we're always chirping at each other. And we also go up to the north shore of Lake Superior. There's really good whitewater up there. But as you know, the season's pretty short. It's really cold, and then it gets frozen over, and then it's ski season.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate you taking the time, and yeah, good luck on the road. Stay safe.
Thanks. Yeah. Take care.